Alright guys, today we are going to continue on with our 10.1 notes, looking at the self-assessment. Okay, so starting with number 5, it says find the volume of the cylinder at the left. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. So if I was looking at question 5, right, I know my volume formula is my area of the base, which is a circle, so pi r squared times h. So if I plug in my pieces there, well, they showed me that the diameter was 4, so I know that my radius is 2, and my height was 3.5. So I get pi times 4 times 3.5, which if I multiply my two constants there, 4 and 3.5, I get 14 pi. And then if I multiplied that out, I would get about 44 yards cubed. All right, looking at question 6. Okay, question 6 is similar, but they want us to find the height of the cylinder. So again, we're starting with our formula. Volume equals pi r squared h. Here they told me the volume was 340. My radius was 3, okay, and I don't know the height. So if I multiply 3 squared, I get 9 pi times h. So I'm going to divide both sides by 9 pi to get h by itself. Remember, when you put that in a calculator, either put it in parentheses or evaluate 9 pi first. And we get h is about 12 feet. All right, and then 7 says different words, same question. Which is different? Find both answers. Okay, so it says, how much does it take to fill a cylinder? What is the capacity of a cylinder? How much does it take to cover the cylinder? And how much does the cylinder contain? All right, so 3 of these questions are about volume. And one of the statements is about surface area, right? So how much does it take to fill the cylinder, right? That's volume. What is the capacity of the cylinder? That's volume. How much does it take to cover the cylinder? That's surface area. And then how much does the cylinder contain? That's volume. So this is the one that's different. All right, and then it told us to actually go back and find both answers. So if I was finding both answers there, for 7, the volume of the cylinder, right, is pi r squared h, and they gave us a radius of 5 and a height of 12. Uh, 25 times 12 is 300, which this would end up being 942.5, and that was in centimeters. All right, then they said, well, what about the surface area? So if we were looking at the surface area of a cylinder, remember that formula is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. Okay, so if we found that, right, and we plugged in our pieces, this would give me 25. That would be 60. This would be 50 pi. That would be 120 pi. So we would have a total of 170 pi, which would be about 534.1 centimeters squared. Remember, area is always in units squared. Okay, on to example 4. Okay, in example 4, it says you use the cylindrical barrel shown to collect and study rainwater. About how many gallons of water can the barrel hold if 1 cubic foot is about 7.5 gallons? Okay, so find the volume of the cylinder The diameter is about 1.8 feet, so the radius is 0.9. So again, we know our volume is pi r squared h. Okay, so the radius was 0.9 and the height is 2.3. So we get 1.863 pi, right? And that is in feet cubed. All right, and if we multiply that out, we get about 5.853 feet cubed. Okay, then I want to take this information they gave me up here, where I know that 7.5 gallons matches with 1 foot cubed, so that in the end, right, my units of feet cubed cancels out, and I'm left with gallons. Okay, so if we multiply that number times 7.5, we get about 44 gallons. Okay, so we know that the barrel can hold about 44 gallons. All right, and then our last two self-assessment questions here. It says, how much salsa is missing from the jar? Explain your reasoning. Okay, so if we were looking at 8, okay, well, first I want to know, well, how much does the entire jar hold, right? So my volume would be pi, my radius is 5, and my height is 10. Okay, so if we did that, we would get 25 times 10, so 250 pi. I'm just going to leave it like that for now before I do my subtraction. And then if I look at what's in the jar currently, right, we get my radius is still 5, now my height is 4, so 25 times 4 is 100. Okay, so the missing would be 250 pi minus 100 pi, which would be 150 pi, which is about 471 cubic centimeters. All right, and then if we looked at question 9, we have a swimming pool with a circumference of 18 pi and a height of 4 feet. About how many liters are needed to fill the swimming pool until it's 85% its total volume, and then they gave us that piece of information. All right, so let's start. So first I know that my circumference is equal to 2 pi r, and so 18 pi equals 2 pi r, so I could divide by 2 pi, which tells me that the radius is 9. Okay, so now I know my radius of my swimming pool. Blue is not a good color to use on top. Let's switch that. Now I know the radius of my swimming pool is 9. Okay, so now that we know that, we can find the volume, right, which is pi r squared times the height. So that would give me pi times 81 times 4 is 324 pi. Okay, and I'm going to leave it like that for now, because what I know is that we only wanted 85% of the total volume. Okay, so if I calculate that, then we end up getting that total is about 275.4 pi. Okay, and then my last step is using that piece of information here that they gave me. So if we did that 275.4 pi, right, in feet cubed, and we canceled it out with our 1 foot cubed was 28.3 liters, and we multiply that out, we end up getting 7,793.82 pi, which is about 24,485 liters. Okay, we could have gotten rid of our pi earlier and calculated what 324 pi was or something like that. That would also work. Okay, so it just depends on what you prefer. Okay guys, that is it for 10.1. Go ahead and log into Big Ideas and try out those problems.